Apostle Paul's life, highlighted with key Bible verses. Paul's background and early life. Paul, originally named Saul, was born in Tarsus, a city in Cilicia. He was a Roman citizen and a devout Jew from the tribe of Benjamin, Acts 22:3, Philippians 3:5. He studied under Gamaliel, a respected teacher of Jewish law, and was zealous in following Jewish customs, Acts 22:3, Galatians 1:14. Persecutor of Christians. Paul initially opposed followers of Jesus. He consented to the stoning of Stephen and led efforts to persecute the early church, Acts 7:58-8-3. Paul went to the high priest to gain authorization to arrest Christians in Damascus, Acts 9:1-2. While on the road to Damascus, Paul encountered a bright light and heard the voice of Jesus, who asked, "Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me?" Acts 9:3-6. Paul was struck blind for 3 days. A disciple named Ananias was sent by the Lord to heal him, and Paul regained his sight, was baptized, and received the Holy Spirit, Acts 9:9-18. Paul's early ministry and preparation. After his conversion, Paul immediately began preaching that Jesus is the Son of God in Damascus, surprising many who knew of his former life, Acts 9:20-22. Paul spent time in Arabia, where he received revelation from Jesus. He returned to Damascus and began his missionary work, Galatians 1:15-18. Missionary journeys and apostolic work. First missionary journey. Paul's journey with Barnabas included preaching in cities like Antioch, Iconium, Lystra, and Derbe. They faced persecution but also saw many Gentiles come to faith, Acts 13-14. Paul advocated for the inclusion of Gentiles without requiring them to follow all Jewish customs, leading to a council in Jerusalem that endorsed this stance, Acts 15. Second and third missionary journeys. Paul traveled through Asia Minor and Greece, preaching the gospel, planting churches, and strengthening believers, Acts 16-20. In Athens, he delivered his famous speech at the Areopagus, explaining the nature of God to Greek philosophers, Acts 17:22-34. After returning to Jerusalem, Paul was arrested due to accusations from Jewish leaders. He defended his faith, explaining his conversion and calling, Acts 21:27-22-29. Paul faced trials before Felix, Festus, and King Agrippa, where he boldly testified to the gospel. His appeal to Caesar led him to Rome, Acts 24-26. Letters to churches and leaders. While imprisoned, Paul wrote letters to churches, for example, Philippians, Ephesians, Colossians, and to individuals, for example, Timothy, Titus, offering guidance, encouragement, and doctrine, for example, Philippians 1:12-14, 2 Timothy 4:6-8. Shipwreck. On the way to Rome. On the way to Rome, Paul's ship encountered a storm and was shipwrecked. He encouraged the crew, assuring them of God's protection, Acts 27:13-44. In Rome, Paul lived under house arrest but continued preaching the gospel and receiving visitors, Acts 28:30-31. Legacy and martyrdom. Before his death, Paul wrote to encourage Timothy, urging him to remain faithful to the gospel, 2 Timothy 4:6-8. Though the Bible does not record Paul's death, early Christian tradition suggests he was martyred in Rome under Emperor Nero. Paul's life story is a testament to God's transforming power, taking him from a persecutor to a passionate advocate for the gospel. His letters and teachings remain foundational to Christian theology and life.